Good morning, everybody. If you guys can like the video, share it, I'd really appreciate it. Hope you all are having a good morning. Let me check the chat here. Good morning, Oki, Jake, Sabius, Lewis, Samuel, Trading Fan, Khalil, Stewart, Brett, Sherbert, Harris, good morning. Cheryl, Nathan, Vertico, Will, Crazy Yeti, Emmanuel, good morning. Jay, I don't know how to pronounce your name, forgive me. Bev, Dewan, Evelyn, Daniel. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. If you can like the video, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Ben. Igor. Gordon, good morning. Lewis, I hope Miami's beautiful today. I'm jealous. It's actually kind of nice here in Chicago today. It's supposed to reach, I think, 60 today, so not too bad. It's pretty good for here in February, if I say so myself. Let me just wait a couple seconds here and then I'll get everything started. But I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday. Hope yesterday was a good learning day. Hope you guys took notes. Hopefully, let me know in the chat. Press a 1 if you watch the daily logs, and don't lie, because I know how many viewers watch those daily logs. Ooh, Tom Foy, new name in here. Good to see. IP, Adrian, Husta, awesome. Degen, Hobby Guy, Paula, too. Sometimes. Yeah, the only reason I say that is because obviously I think they're very important. Even though it may sound repetitive, it's programming your mind. And especially, I go over a lot of good things in the daily logs, but it does program your mind to see those pattern recognitions over and over again. I would make it a habit to watch it every day. I said, I think, again, I try to make content that I wish I had. And it's not even that I wish, because we did have this content, or at least I did, with ICT. So I was very grateful for it, and hopefully it's helped all of you. Anyways, let me, if you guys can get this to 100, I'll start it. We're at 95, so 5 more. Nathan, if you go to my YouTube page, I post a daily log every day, covering price action, a lot of just different things in there. Depends on the day. Some daily logs are really great, some are kind of mediocre. Just depends what I can work with that day. Depends what happened, but for the most part, they're really good. I know I do upload them a little late, but depends where you're at. Do you have an Instagram? No, I do not. Alright, we're at 108 likes. I appreciate all you. Let me know if you can see the screen, and then we'll get started. And I'm going to play some music for myself. Give me 1 second here. Alright, cool. That said, I need music. I am a person of music. Awesome, thank you. Francis, good to see you. Nico. Alright. Let me adjust the chat here, and then we get into the charts. We got about 4 minutes till the open. I'm not in a hurry. per usual to do anything. So let's see here. Looking at the daily time frame, we dip down into the volume balance here. Excuse me. Music's a little loud. We dipped down on the volume balance yesterday. I mentioned that would be a draw on liquidity for us moving into yesterday. I was looking at the sell side here. These lows were relatively equal. We went in and took out the swing low in here. So technically we had a shift in market structure, right? We wicked beneath this previous low. We're not in a full bullish or in a bullish dealing range yet. Bearish, I mean. Excuse me. From this swing low to that swing high, it's still in a technically a bullish dealing range. But I do believe that we're having some type of higher time frame shift in here. I would like to believe when I'm looking at these higher time frames that the weekly fair value gap in here would be a draw on liquidity. That's where price would, be a magnet. Price would want to draw towards this. At the bare minimum, that's what I'm seeing for right now. I don't see anything past that. I don't have enough evidence to make a hard line judgment, but for now, if I see something, that would be at least gun to my head where I think price would be wanting to draw back into. And probably the CE of this wick in here. That would probably be a good prediction. So mark out the 50% CE of that wick in there. See if price can draw into that inefficiency there on the weekly. We may want to revisit the volume balance in here. I honestly don't believe we're going to extend past this today. We would need probably a large news event driver to do so. Yes, we have FOMC meeting minutes, but it's not as a high impact as FOMC in and of itself. They're two different things completely. So I put them in two different categories. FOMC meeting minutes really doesn't have that large of an impact on the market, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen. So I don't put a huge emphasis on it. But you have to remember, we're in a week where we don't have a lot of news event drivers. I believe tomorrow is probably the only day with high impact news. So if I don't have to trade the rest of the week, I'm content with that. You have to remember, if you captured a move, like let's say yesterday we captured a move, that could be it. That could be your only move for the week, and you could just sit still and do nothing. Most of you want to keep pushing after you've had a good winning trade, and you want to keep pushing in these environments. And to me, when I was younger, that just it always came back on me. By the end of the week, I would always lose all my money, and that would be that. And if I just sat still, didn't do anything, it would be great. As you get more experience, yes, you can push a little bit harder in some environments. But right now, I don't find this extremely high probability. It's not clearly, to me, one-sided. I mean, I could see lower prices, but we'll have to see how the open looks like. And a couple other things, especially we don't have news event drivers to back us, so we're going to have to see. Let's dig into a 4-hour time frame. As I've been describing, I think overall, if price is going to drop lower, the sell side in here would be probably favorable. And we're inside of this reclaimed fair value gap here. And I was talking about yesterday how this open portion from that high to that low, this should be traded into, right? Because that's the open portion of this inefficiency. So we drop down into that. I'm only going to have that on the chart today as far as the 4-hour time frame. So I'm just going to keep that in the back of my mind. We just opened. It's probably going to be the draw on liquidity today. Yeah, I'm not in a hurry to do anything. If you just look at order flow on the right side of the curve, what are we doing? Respecting bearish inefficiencies, bearish PD arrays. So we have this inefficiency here. And we're dropping off with the open. And if you're new here, we trade the silver bullet. So I'm in no rush to do anything. I keep it pretty strict with it. If we drop underneath this inefficiency, then to me, these lows in here are probably going to be the overall draw. I would like for us not to drop into that by silver bullet. It would be preferred, to be completely honest. That way I have a draw on liquidity, something to look for going into a silver bullet. But I don't make the rules. Thank you, Easy. Appreciate it. Sometimes I forget with live streaming. And today, yes, I have micros on instead of NQ. Again, if you're just looking at order flow, you want to figure out what is order flow doing. Well, what is it respecting and what is it disrespecting? We're respecting every single bearish inefficiency. So to me, that's telling me order flow is at least bearish for now. I'm looking for lower prices. So what should we be doing today? Probably looking for a short. Hopefully yesterday's log made sense as to how, still being within the narrative, I was countering the overall narrative, but I was still working within it. Hopefully it made sense if you watched the log last night. I was trying to clear that up. I had a few questions on it. Just annotating, we took out all the sell side in here. I mean, this inefficiency, there's just a small little portion that was left open that we tagged, so we'll have to see. We've returned up into this fair value gap at the end of the session yesterday. So just looking at the dealing range from that high down to this low, what do we do? Turned up into a premium fair value gap, and then we drifted off lower. I'm gonna go ahead and put on the new week opening gaps and this is a new day opening gap. So look at the level of respect there. Open, came back up into it, respected the discount of this inefficiency. New day opening gap, dropped off lower. This is any old new week opening gap. Look at the bodies respecting it. Pretty beautiful. I talked about last night how new week opening gaps they're my favorite PD array. They're beautiful, man. I think they're the most simplistic things to learn in ICT's concepts and to look at. So for right now, my focus would be, can price gravitate towards the low from yesterday at 17,451 basically. So would price need to take out buy side liquidity? This is a good example, I guess, of people that look at Judah swings or they look at buy side to be taken first. What is going on here? Maybe I'm placing it on a different time frame. There it is. So would price need to take out buy side liquidity in this instance? Not necessarily. We've already gone up into a premium, respected a parent, the 1 hour, 4 hour bearish inefficiency, dropped lower, respected the new day opening gap, dropped lower, fair value gap here. So would price logically, would it need to go up higher to take out buy side? No. To me, it should just drop into the sell side and probably continue on. That's logically what I'm looking at. So you need to determine if you're coming into a session and go, okay, does it need to take out buy side or sell side? Has it already done the work going into the session? What's the order flow looking like? These type of questions you need to ask yourself. So just looking at a 15-minute time frame, I'm just going to mark out all the inefficiencies that price is either in or respecting. Cast, yeah, I mean, new week opening gaps, I can use them. They have multiple uses towards them. One of them is just classic support and resistance. You can use them in confluence with a trade idea. If you have an entry that's surrounding a new week opening gap, you can utilize that. You can utilize it as a draw on liquidity. If you think price should, move higher, then at least you have upside draw on liquidities. You can use it for buys. You can use it for a weekly profile. If price is meandering around the new week opening gap, the current one, all week, you're in consolidation. If it moves quickly away from the new week opening gap on a Monday or Tuesday, and it's far away from it, you're probably in a trending market. There's so many utilizations for a new week opening gap. It's again, I think they're the best PD array out there. It just, for me personally, I love them. So yeah, this low in here would probably be the draw for right now. But if you're new here, we're waiting for the silver bullet. I'm not in a rush to do anything. Saves me a lot of headache, a lot of time. I don't know where this line keeps going. It's got to keep going out to this 1 hour. It's my OCD flaring. I don't know why it's doing this. There we go. So now I'm going to split the screens in here. Somebody said RTH gap. I appreciate that. I'm going to go over it a second here. I think if anything, we gapped lower. Five minute, 1 minute. I mean, it's, to me right now, it's kind of sloppy. Clear this off. Thank you, Andreas. It looks like it. Yeah, I never use templates. I literally just made that over the weekend. I usually manually do everything I put on the chart. So sell side here would be the draw for right now. That's what I'd be looking at. If buy silver bullet comes and something else is printed, then I will look to do something different. That's all you do. I mean, that's why I trade the silver bullet, because sometimes I'm wrong on my predictions. Sometimes I'm not correct on what I think is going to happen. Sometimes I am. This makes me weary. Just looking at the daily time frame. Reason for that is because we've reached down into a discount, right? If you look at the flip side perspective, is we've reached down into a discount and into this volume balance here. So we're still in a bullish stealing range from that high, from that low to that high. We've reached down into basically optimal trade entry into this volume balance. So if price, let's say on the flip side, is really bullish, all price did was reach down into here and this thing would expand higher. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't think logically that's really what's going to happen. But I do like to look at the flip side, being the other side of the case or detective is really good. That way you're not leaning so heavily on one side. You're not caught off guard. I talk about this a lot. I think it's very, very useful. Very large RTH gap. So from yesterday's close to today's open, we have a significant gap. So this can be utilized in a few ways today. I'm just looking at it. If this thing fully closed it in, which is resting at 17,581, 17,581's up here, right? So if we fully closed in that gap, I probably wouldn't be looking at shorts at that point. So either A, we're going to utilize the probably lower portions of the RTH gap to sell off into the sell side, and it's going to maintain lower prices. Slash could do that, take out sell side, and then rally back to close it in. So I have to keep an eye on this today, actually. There's some days where there is no RTH gap and there's no use for it. Some days there is a use for the RTH gap. So if you're wondering, you can mark it out in quadrants. You have one, call this 25%, 50%, 25%, 100 there. So I got to keep this in the back of my mind today as to what price may do. RTH gaps, again, they're probably my second favorite PD array. Just because it's like a hidden PD array that most people don't know about. It's just a phenomenal. When you can utilize this in a bias for a day, man, this thing it's beautiful. If you haven't noticed, I love inefficiencies. I love fair value gaps, liquidity voids, volume balance. I love those over breakers, order blocks. I mean, that's just personally my eyes and what I like. But obviously, I know all those do exist. What does RTH mean? RTH means regular trading hours. So if you click over to this sessions, you have electronic trading hours and then regular trading hours. When I go over here, yesterday when we closed, this is before electronic trading became available. This is how price used to look. We closed yesterday and then today we opened, right at the open. So in between all of that and electronic we were trading, but in RTH, regular trading hours, there's a gap. So you can utilize that gap in a few ways. Morning, Roosta. Yeah, FEG is my first and only love. So like I said, we may utilize this. Oh, get out of this. May utilize this inefficiency here, and we may drop lower to take out sell side. I'm going to be weary if we take out sell side and I see some type of sharp reversal. May want to head back to take out or close in the RTH gap. We'll have to see. If we really maintain heaviness, then I would be looking at the lows all the way down here, which is a pretty significant drop lower. You can see I'm not even going on a 1 minute currently. I mean, I can, but all of this is slop. So there's times when I don't even look at a 1 minute because I can just look at a 5 minute, 15 minute order flow, and it's just super, lethargic. I'm not going to be paying attention to it. Let me take a look here. Dollar index. Man, this thing has been a pain in my butt this year so far. Just really has not wanted to move in a clearly one-sided direction. We're still inside of an inefficiency on the daily time frame. Bullish. I could bring that over. So this is what I'm looking at. I know I'm looking at a different monitor, but we're inside of this inefficiency here. So we do have some lows. If you look at a 4 hour, we do have some relative equal lows down here. On the bullish analysis, if I was to make a case for it, could have taken out sell side, rallied into the daily inefficiency, the 4 hour, and then do we expand higher? When I look at the weekly, I would prefer this thing move higher because that would be inverse correlated to index futures, and we can get a clear read that index futures probably want to drop lower. It's probably the appropriate analysis. Weekly fair value gap here. So this thing may expand higher, may rip above, fully closing that wick by the end of the week. Could very well happen. Yes, I know we're dropping. I'm not in any rush to do anything. People see this and oh, I got to do something. Oh, they start itching like a crack addict. If you haven't picked up on my own patience throughout the last 2 months, I mean, if that hasn't rubbed off on you and you haven't seen that being patient is fine, man. I'm never in a rush to do anything. I'm never fearful. When price is moving, I'm not talking frantically because I understand that these things repeat over and over and over again. I understand my model. I understand time. Excuse me, I'm eating a banana. Accidentally, you cracked me up, man. That's it. My career's over. That's the last trade I could ever take. That's all jokes. It's funny what our minds can do to us when things drop. Like, I'm not making fun of anybody in here that they see that and they get. I understand it because I've been there where, you see a drop in liquidity and price is dropping, it's moving towards it, and you just have that frantic feeling of like, I'm missing it. But trust me, man, it's not a big deal. Over time, you're going to learn that you're never missing anything. Nothing printed in here for me to even get into a position, so it's not even a missed trade. It doesn't mean anything to me, irregardless. But if you have an abundant mindset, you know that these things repeat over and over and over again. You never fear. I know by a silver bullet, probably something's going to form in my time zone. Regardless if we trade to the sell side before or after, I know that my model repeats within that little time window. Looks like we got 619 viewers. If you guys can like the video, if you're just tuning in, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Looks like we're growing every day, which I do appreciate all the new viewers. go. I think my chat's got jokes today, huh? You guys are comedians. I think somebody asked about ES and the SMT between it. To be honest, I haven't looked at the SMT yet. Yeah, I do see that, but here's the thing, right? If the narrative and the overall drawn liquidity is lower, this is like a six sister approach, right? If NQ is dropping lower, there is going to be when you're trading six sister, there's going to be an SMT, but you have to understand that one of them is lagging behind the other, so the other one is eventually going to catch up with it, and that's the one you preferably would want to trade. I'm not saying you have to. There's a sell side delivered. So ES, I would like to believe is going to, even though it's a bullish SMT, it hasn't dropped beneath its low that NQ has, it's probably going to get into sync with NQ, right? So if you wanted, to trade ES, you would be in the understanding that it's wanting to get into sync with NQ. It's wanting to drop lower alongside NQ. So it's kind of like the six sister approach, right? Does that make sense? I don't know. Somebody asked that. Or maybe I'm just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just speaking. Yeah, I mean, do I feel any type of way about that? No. That's cool, man. I was able to call a draw on liquidity. I mean, could I have entered in here? Sure, but the risk to reward, the mental capital spent to get into the only place I can see price from this entry point is down to here, which is 20 handles. I would much rather be in a move where I can see at least 50 plus handles at minimum. If I can't see 50 handles or more, I'm probably not taking the trade. It's just not worth my time. It's not worth to be in the position personally. So that's the way I view it, right? And that's just called discipline. Because you could be in that trade and then you didn't take out, and now you're, hovering at 5-10 handles. I mean, it's not worth it to me. If I go, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, NQ is just better in my opinion. Wire, I appreciate that. Yeah, I could do that. It's a good video suggestion. Yeah, I'm not paying much attention to YM, to be honest with you. I'm putting that one in the corner for right now. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, Mike. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not trying to how should I word this? Persuade anybody not to trade like 20 handle runs. It's fantastic. It's a great way to start. For me personally, as where I'm at, I'm not gonna spend my mental capital to do that, right? Like I talk about mental capital, you have a certain amount of tokens in a week. Every time you place a trade on, you're spending that mental capital token. So for me, if I'm gonna spend that token, I want to make sure that it's being spent on something that's worthy, something that I can at least see something out of it. Because if I'm only in here for 10, 20 handles and price bangs around, it starts wearing me out. It's not worth it to me, right? The risk to reward in terms of mental capital being spent is not there, alongside the risk to reward in points. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to see, after we took the sell side, is it going to accelerate through this low, or are we going to have some type of semi-reversal? I don't believe so. The only thing I really see is that we do have buy side resting above us here, right? So that could be a draw on liquidity for us, moving into the silver bullet. We're inside of the macro, right? So from 950 to 1010. This little time window. We'll see what happens. Sometimes macro moves, sometimes it doesn't. I got you, Mike. Yeah. I mean, I started out with, 5 handles and growing consistently on that with ES. And then I moved on to, if I could get 10, 15 handle runs. My career is a little bit different. I mean, I started out with Forex. I was actually really an intraday, like, swing trader. I was holding on for a couple days, excuse me, in Forex. Swing trading can be fun. If you have the patience for it, it can be a lot of fun and actually a lot easier than intraday trading and being in here every day. But then again, your setups are far and in between, and if you get stopped out on a swing trade, it's like, man, I just waited a week, 2 weeks for this swing trade to happen, and then it was all for nothing. So that's where, I don't know, swing trading to me, it's got its pros and cons to it. And then if the market's consolidating, what do you do? As an intraday scalper, I think you have the most pros and the most cards in your pockets, like in your favor, because I can trade in not every single condition, but if we're in a daily time frame where it's not super, expanding one side or the other, it's like right now we're not really expanding super heavily. I can still trade in it intraday, volatility swings within a certain time window, but a swing trader, you can't do that. So, and if I wanted to hold on to a position, I could even enter on a very small time frame and refine that entry and then swing it. So to me, I think that this is the most superior way of trading. It gives you the most flexibility. You can turn it from a intraday scalper position into a swing trade. So, I mean, that's the way I view it. It's not meant for everybody, but for me, I think it is the best way you can trade. You get in, you get out, you make your money, and that's it. I got you, Mike. That's awesome. Okay, Maddie. Yeah, I'll take that into suggestion. There's plenty of videos, but some people like, I guess, my suggestions on what they should be doing. Do you use larger positions? I don't swing trade. If I was swing trading, I mean, probably, I don't know, to be honest with you. I would have to see. Maybe because I wouldn't be taking as many trades, so I could divide up my risk a little bit more. I mean, there's plenty of people. I mean, if you you guys know who Jade Cap is, he's probably one of the most consistent in the space with ICT's concepts. He's more of like an intraday, long-term trader. I mean, he'll hold on to positions for a few days. Which, I mean, again, no style is better than the other. It's all about your personality and what you particularly like. I mean, personally, if I was to say if one style was better than the other, I would say scalping is intraday scalping, like what ICT does, because you could do a lot more in one session than somebody could swing trade. ICT, that's such a funny way to. How was your transition from Forex to indices? It wasn't anything super significant. I mean, all of us switched. Like ICT, when I joined his mentorship, we were all paying attention to euro. We were paying attention to dollar index, and then pound dollar, and then he put our focus into index futures. So it was kind of a transition with him. I mean, he's traded it obviously way before 2022, but with the help of him, I was able to transition pretty easily. Price is the same across everything. I mean, for the most part, the only thing that really differentiates is probably time and a couple other things, maybe. I mean, like on Forex, you can use central bank dealing ranges. Index futures, you cannot. I don't care who tells you that. You can't do that. Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't. So right now, when I'm looking at going to the silver bullet, I'm going to elect to believe that buy side is going to be the draw. Because we still have, if you remember the RTH gap, to me, that would be the draw on liquidity. Price would want to reach up into the remaining portions of that. So if we can get above, this is a current SIBI, if we can get above that, treat that as inversion, I would like to believe that buy side want to be ran. So what I'm doing in here is it's not inversion yet, but I'm anticipating that it's probably going to be a inversion, right? We've taken out sell side underneath here. There's SMT between the three. So this is probably going to want to be ran. Looking above that, I mean, we could look at higher targets when we get there. Even that high there. Does that make sense to everybody? And if I don't get anything, if there isn't an entry, then I don't do anything. I'm not just going to chase price just because I think I see it going somewhere. Could very well fail. Yeah, that's such a funny way to spell ICT's name. Would you say futures a safer choice here in the US? Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. I put a lot of attention on trading futures over Forex right now. Or even just indices like US 100, US 500, do not be trading those. I think that's why you see a lot of turmoil inside of the prop space right now. You could enter in here, but I'm not going to do so. I'm going to see if I can showcase again the 75% rule. And the reason why I'd be a little hesitant is because we haven't closed above the inversion yet. So I have to keep in mind, this is the parent. So to me, if I waited, right, let's say we have another minute left, the 5 minute gets above and it closes above the inversion, that to me would be a better significant idea. Because to me, it's still a SIBI, right? So we could still utilize this to sell short. That's why I was electing not to go long in here. Not to say it can't go higher from here, but having that confirmation of the 5 minute closing above the inversion is a huge tell to me. Yeah, Hawk, I mean, from my experience and throughout 6 years of trading, I don't find FOMC meeting minutes to be that significant in the market. It's not like FOMC meeting, right? That's not something that is as high impact. I don't find that as significance. So I've got some questions over that recently. I just looked at the chat number. Is that real? 767? All right. I think that's a new record in here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you could like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. I would appreciate it. So again, do you see how I was waiting for this 5 minute closure? Even though the buy side seems favorable, that seems like a good idea. The 5 minute is really telling the story to me. And if I have to wait, or if price moves without me, takes out the buy side without me being a part of it, then it is what it is. Being able to understand that you should elect to wait on the sidelines for certain conditions over FOMOing into position it's always a better option. And it's the reason why I teach that 75, I should say the 25% rule, where I wait, if you haven't been here, I wait for the last 25% into a drawn liquidity. So from this low up to that high, the last 25%, there's typically an entry in here, typically, right? And the reason I wait for that is because 75% of the move has already been completed. So that last 25%, all I'm looking for is just that little move into it. Low-hanging fruit, it's super easy. For those who have been here, you've seen how easy it is, right? It's such a good way to enter into the market. As you get more experience, of course, you can enter at these lower quadrants and push for a longer, draw on liquidity, or longer position. But if you're just starting out, I think it's, even for me, it's such a good way to trade. And even in here, it protects me. Really, the main reason is protecting you from losses that you shouldn't really be taking. Casper, good question. It depends on the bias, right? It depends on what you're looking for that day. In this instance, we've filled in basically 25% so far. If I was extremely bearish on the day, then I would anticipate that's the only thing that we'd fill in, maybe 25 to 50%. And then price would trade off, right? But today I'm a little bit weary of that idea. We may have just used the lower quadrants of the RTH gap to sell off into the sell side that I annotated right off the open, and then price may reverse to close in at least 50% to 75 to 100% of the RTH gap. Maybe a possibility. It's really what I'd be looking at. So really nice expansion higher from here. We just got into the silver bullet window. We'd look at some other time frames in here. So bullish order block in there. It may just run for the sell side, or buy side. And if that is so, then it is what it is. There's nothing in here I would have really entered off of. I mean, yes, you could have entered off of this inefficiency in here, but it's fine. Nico, you're funny, man. Do you expect liquidity rate at 50% of projected future range? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yeah, there's 1,000 setups in here that we missed already. So, buy side's probably going to be ran. And if we don't get an entry, who really cares? Doesn't mean you're a poor analyst, doesn't mean your model's broken. Sometimes you don't get an entry. Yes, could you have entered down here? Sure. But it's really not part of my rules to do so. And if I see this thing continuously going higher today, I'll probably find an entry. So these targets up here is really what I'd be looking at. And the main draw is the RTH gap. So if you pay attention, I mean, look at what I annotated today and why I was looking at all of the things we just annotated. How dropping lower off the open to take out sell side, moving higher from here to take out buy side, close an RTH gap. That's utilizing just an intraday bias. That's not me utilizing narrative. That's actually me utilizing just intraday lower time frames drawn liquidity with RTH gap. So there is a distinguished, like a different, obviously, motive there, what I'm stating. How many times can FEG be used? I mean, it can be used multiple times. Typically 3, sometimes 4. You can see in here 1, 2, like count 3, 4. Count that 4 times in there. Just depends. If the narrative and everything's still there, and the drawn liquidity is still intact with time, I mean, but typically you want to see it. On the 3rd time it touches it, probably want to see it move. Ideally, of course, the first touch of a fair value gap, you want to see it move away from it, but sometimes you don't get it. You trade live every day? Yes, I do. This will probably be a small inefficiency in here. Let me look at some other time frames. So I reached bull terminus already. I reached sell side, I reached buy side. Now I have to adjust and be like, all right, well, is this thing going to really expand higher today? How high is it going to move? take these off of here. So this is what especially when you are in lower time frames, you get stuck down there. Pull yourself out of it. Pull yourself out of the 1 minute, the 5 minute. If you're on the seconds chart, pull yourself out of it. Especially when I reach terminus, meaning I reached like an objective I was looking for. It's like, all right, I pull myself out of it. Let me look at a 4-hour chart. Let me look at the daily. Let me see what price is doing. What is it respecting? Because you can get too wrapped up in these lower time frames. You see this gigantic move higher, but that could have been just a raid on buy side and this thing drops lower. So again, the overall narrative of order flow on higher times is right now is still bearish to me. So I have to be weary of trying to push a long. Really, the only narrative I have is looking for this RTH gap to be filled intraday wise. Is it me or is ES not as clean as NQ lately? I mean, to me, ES has always been, it's always been a pain in my butt. I used to be very afraid of NQ because it moves very rapidly, but you want that. You want loose markets. I mean, this is not even really loose markets in terms of like swinging on a higher time frame, but NQ at least moves loosely. Like it freely moves compared to ES. It's very range bound. It'll get some decent moves out of it, but I just love NQ, man. It's a lot of fun. Like if ES is range bound, at least NQ will have some sort of small run that I can at least participate in. So you see here, I'm not trying to push along. I'm not annotating that all to you. We've taken out sell side, we've taken out buy side. What is this? What is this profile so far? It's a seek and destroy profile, especially when you take out sell side, you've taken out buy side. It is a seek and destroy profile. So you have to be aware of that. There are times where you take out both sides of the board and then price runs to the other side again. So we could drift down into the sell side if it really wants it today. But I'm going to be weary of probably doing a lot of things currently. And if you didn't catch anything, you weren't a part of any moves, I mean, there's nothing to be mad about. Especially if you're able to see what I was seeing, where you take out sell side, go to buy side. I mean, that's who else is really doing that in these markets? I mean, who else is predicting that? Not many people are doing that. You have to be very grateful and appreciative of the things that you know, even if you're not able to profit with it. To me, it's still fascinating. It's still cool. Like I've traded retail concepts. I've traded on that side of the market where having that point precision accuracy of, you know, being an analyst, being able to see that. I mean, you don't see that in retail concepts. Not on a 1 minute time frame, I can tell you that. People are not, if you sat somebody down that trades, you know, no hate, but trades trend lines, you know, patterns, they're not seeing that on a 1 minute time frame. No way. So you have to take the good with the bad. Only reason I'm saying that is if you go into your journal that. Cheerlead yourself, congratulate yourself. Be like, you know what, man, I didn't catch anything, but look at what I did here. I predicted these moves. It's still cool, right? Because in a market where your entry pattern is there, you're going to be a participant in it. How do you factor in New York midnight level? I personally don't use it. I get questions on it a lot. I just don't utilize it. You can utilize it in terms of power of 3. You can utilize it in if you're shorting, you want to be above midnight open. If you're buying that for that day, you want to be beneath midnight open. You can utilize it in confluence. If it's right on midnight open and there's a fair value gap there, you can utilize that as confluence. There's a lot of different ways. I personally don't. What is seek and destroy profile? It's when your price is just, it's seeking both sides, right? It's really rapidly, it's trying to take out both sides of the board. It's not wanting to clearly trend in one particular direction. So anybody that had sell stops underneath here, they're not taken out. Anybody that had buy stops pre-open, they're not taken out. So it basically neutralizes the board, right? Either you're going to, with seek and destroy, go into consolidation, which is a lower probability environment. When I see these signatures, typically it's telling me to probably sit still and not do as much, because I know either we're going to move inside a consolidation, or B, I guess there's really only one point to that. Just sit still. Yeah, thank you. Seek and destroy equals chop. Yeah, Nico. I mean, you have a different level of appreciation when you've traded different concepts and then you come to these. I mean, it's beautiful, man. It's like a whole new world opens up to you. Robbie, awesome. Yeah, M-A-K. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Yeah, Shanghai. Yes, I understand. We are all retail, but I'm just talking in the sense of concepts. Any thoughts on the E-Man trading video? I mean, no. Like, I make I make money with these concepts, and I predict price very damn accurately every single day live. So to me, what would it matter if somebody exposed ICT? I don't even know what that means. Like, people like that, they're looking for an excuse as to why they can't trade, because majority of the time it's always themselves that is making the issue, right? It's not the concepts, it's always the person, regardless of what you're trading. But I can predict price very accurately with these concepts, and I make money doing it. So how could I say that it doesn't work? You know, it's like I see it with my eyes. You can't tell me what I can't see or what I see, right? So I don't like those videos because it pushes people away from the truth, and it pushes people away from these concepts when in reality this is what they need. This is what they need to be trading. I'm not saying you can't make money with other concepts, but I mean, this is the most accurate way of trading. The reason I know that is because I've traded different concepts. I basically have traded everything out there. I mean, Marco, that's crazy. You're in high school. Um, that's awesome, though, man. I mean, starting at a very young age, that's such a head start above other people. There's a lot of questions in here, so if I don't get to it, I do apologize. There's a lot in here. I'm not trying to do anything currently, so if you're looking at price expecting me to say something, I don't have anything currently. He plugged his concepts after. Yeah, again, I mean, people utilize that name, his name, to get clout and views and then plug their own stuff, so you have to be wary of that. Yeah, exactly, Mike. Dude, this ICT is hilarious. How much you grow your, I mean, a lot, man. Um, thoughts on, yeah. Hassan, you have to copy and paste an emoji from like, uh, whatever, your phone or whatever allows you to put an emoji in, copy and paste it and put it in the text box. And then you can get that. Dark, yeah, I mean, that's such a common question beyond the community. Even myself, when I first started, I had the same, concerns. But you have to remember, there's a new loser every single day in these markets. Somebody comes in here with money and they lose. B, even with these concepts, the cold hard reality is probably only a very small percentage that's ever going to make it, even with these concepts, even as accurately as they are. Um, it's it's the cold hard reality. People can't control themselves, and for them to come out net positive, even with these concepts over a long period of time, is the probability of that's pretty low. I mean, if you look at, I don't want to discourage anybody because I believe in all of you. I believe that you can do this, but I mean, it is the reality of it is, you know, it's a very difficult industry because it's all down to yourself. If you can't control yourself, it doesn't matter what you're trading. So that's the reason I don't believe that these will ever stop, because they're making too much money off of anybody. Even with ICT concepts. I mean, there's people losing their ass with these concepts because they can't control themselves. So I never fear it ever. And if they do, then then the whole market would stop. Like, it sounds crazy, but again, if the market is an algorithm, they would have to rewire this entire market into something completely different, which I don't even understand how that would be possible. They would have to shut down this entire market. And at that point, then obviously the world is not in a good place, and I probably won't be trading. I'll probably be off in the forest building a tent or something. I don't know. Wayne, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, don't mind anybody that, gives you criticism. If they're excited and they're intrigued by it, they're curious, genuinely, then obviously talk to them about it. But most people are going to hate on you. Most people are going to call you stupid and dumb for doing this, and it's a pipe dream. But don't listen to them. Haters don't pay your bank account. As corny as that sounds. Somebody said, yeah. And I just don't. I don't want to manually place the eye there every single time. It does look little bit better, but I'd rather just be able to copy and paste. There's 800 viewers. I appreciate everybody in here. It really means a lot. I've grown a lot over the last several months. I'm glad people are being exposed to me. If you are new here, I would appreciate if you liked the video and subscribe. It would mean a lot. Hope you guys have been enjoying. Abraham, yeah, I tried to be. I mean, again, that's not a common issue that obviously, and with live streaming, I want to place a lot of blame on that. But I mean, it was a good problem to have. I'll tell you that. How long do you think day trading could be a viable career with any of these concepts? Again, I don't know. I mean, I can't really tell you that, but as long as these markets are open, we're going to be able to trade. It's not a concern that you should be worrying about. It really isn't. Like, first time viewer, really like the commentary. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, so what am I doing in here? If I know for new viewers, I'm not talking about price currently because, A, we've predicted both sides of the board, right? Sell side taken, buy side taken. What is this profile? This profile is a seek and destroy profile. Meaning is if you've taken both sides, you neutralize the board, meaning buyers have been taken out, sellers have been taken out. Typically, price is going to move into consolidation, and it's just a lower probability environment. I'm not trying to push inside of this environment. I've done it plenty of times, and I've got my ass handed to me. So if I see this, it means, all right, sit still, don't do anything. Like I could be trying to long in here off of this fair value gap, and I'm spending mental capital that doesn't need to be spent. There's no reason to do so. So the only way I'd be participating in today is if something clearly moved to one side, I could still see with time that there's a drawn liquidity left. I could target that, price could reach for it, then obviously that would be the best bet. But for now, this is where you exercise discipline, right? You have to exercise that trait in yourself where you sit still, you don't do anything. Even if you missed a trade, you're upset that you missed it. The market doesn't care. The market doesn't know that you're upset. The market is an inanimate object. It has no idea who you are. So anytime, like, I get it, I've been plenty of times pissed off at the market. But you have to remind yourself, the market has no idea who the hell I even am. So, like, when you're sitting there yelling at your computer, I mean, what you're doing is you're yelling at a mirror, which is yourself. The market is a mirror. It's an open world right back to yourself. And the cold hard truth is people don't want to take that accountability for themselves because they want to place blame on something else. People that I've seen that are extremely successful in this have such a high level of accountability, and that's the reason why they succeed, is because they place all the blame on themselves. Even if something was completely something else's fault, like let's say your kid or your dog, somebody placed a trade on your computer, that's still your fault, right? Like if you take everything and you place the blame on yourself, you are now taking the power away from that. Because if you give power to that, then you no longer are the person in control. If I don't take accountability for my actions, the things that I do, then I'm giving the power away to something else, right? So when it comes to discipline, accountability is a huge factor. There's plenty of times where I've been pissed off at ICT, and then I remind myself, nope, it's my fault. I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. I'm sure plenty of you have, watched his tweets and even his live streams. He's taking trades, and in the moment you're like, what the hell? This is all his fault. Again, you're the one placing the trade. You sat down. You decided to push the button. It's your fault. Again, that's that question. Why not enter at the breaker? What did I just describe to you, Alfred? What condition are we in? We're in a seek and destroy profile. So that means things are lower probability. Even if price moved off of the breaker, I personally would not care. It's part of my rule set to sit still and not do anything. It could very well just drop lower right through the breaker, and I'd be like, oh, well, that was stupid. Why did I take it? My rules and discipline and experience tells me to sit still when we're in seek and destroy. My dog caused all my losses. Incredible advice, even for life in general. Yeah. Again, I mean, most people never want to take accountability, so. Michael, hey CJ, been in here beginning of 2024, moving from options to futures. Appreciate the education. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the words. Hopefully it's a good transition. I have somebody else in the chat that is transitioning from options to futures as well, so it's cool to see. So there's buy side here. Again, would you want to be a part of this? Would you want to be in a position where you're sitting in this much of time and chop? I personally wouldn't. I'm spending mental capital being in that. So I value mental capital very much more than obviously real capital. If my mental capital is spent, it doesn't matter how much money I have. It's going to probably get burnt. If I can't control myself, if I know I'm tempted to do a lot of things, I'm on edge, I'm 10 times more likely to make mistakes. You have to know your threshold with, terms of risk and your mental capital. How many trades can you take in a week? Mine personally, I mean, I can do probably 3 to 5. That's typically the max amount of trades I want to do in a week, because that means at least I have one trade per day. If I'm moving beyond that, that means I'm probably doing too much. You don't need to be in here doing multiple, like people are saying you need to do, multiple trades in a day. I don't see the reason for it. If I can only take one trade in a week or 2 trades, I mean, that's phenomenal. That's the best thing I could do. Did you know you can right-click any drawing and select current interval only? Really? People are teaching me things. Wait, what'd you just say? Click on... Oh. Oh, look at that. That is cool. All right, thank you. Didn't know that. That's really useful. Now I'm thinking about it. Hell yeah. Oh, that is fantastic. Thank you, Aaron. Would you be interested in price? No. Again, even anything like the breaker or this inversion, due to the profile we're in, regardless of what PD array, like this fair value gap here or this discount, I'm not interested in it. There's nothing in here I'd be like, all right, cool. Like, I'm going to take a trade. It's like, the only way is if, for me, the narrative on higher time frames still suggests lower prices. I'm not saying we're going to go lower, but if price dropped off lower, we started to move into lower portions of basically this dealing range from this low to that high, then I'd be utilizing the same method that I've been teaching you, is the last 25% move, right? I'd be looking for that last 25%. The reason I would favor that is because the narrative on higher time frames is still bearish right now. The order flow's bearish, so I'd prefer to just keep it to lower prices. Again, what is it respecting on a 15-minute time frame? What is it respecting on a 30-minute, a 1 hour? Let's go back out to the 1 hour. Inefficiency here, bearish order block there. So the order flow on a higher time frame is bearish. The only reason we were looking for the buy side is just for a short intraday scalp to take out anybody that was looking, to hold on to positions during the open of price. So now all of these would become an inversion, right? At least this one would turn into an inversion. So in my mind right now, currently, I would at least favor the sell side down here. Not saying it's going to. I still have to understand that we're inside of this weird range. So even though price drops and it moves, I'm really not eager to do anything because of the range that we've been in, right? Anytime you're in seek and destroy and price makes a sudden movement, you can't just immediately jump, because basically you've been in consolidation like here, and as soon as it makes a move, you're like, oh my goodness, I got to do something. But you have to be wary, man. Sometimes price is like Medusa or like a rattlesnake. You have to be very, very careful. Sometimes it just shakes its tail at you, or Medusa, it's going to try to seduce you to do something, when in reality nothing's really there. It's an illusion, right? So knowing these profiles and understanding it, and just having the confidence and discipline to say, all right, I know that tomorrow is probably going to be a lot better profile. There's a lot better conditions, right? So if I was to look at risk reward in terms of days, this day is a lot more risky than probably another day, right? Just from the profile already, we're already 30 minutes through the silver bullet. I would probably rather put my bucket of probabilities in a better day. That's the way I'd look at it. Like, why would you force yourself to push inside of an environment? You don't have to trade today. You don't have to force this environment. There's no reason to do so. The only reason you think that is because you're sitting down on a chart right now. I mean, think about how many people are getting chopped up in this. I know my old self would. I mean, I would have been going long in here. Price dropped. All right, now I'm going short in here. It may work out, may not. So, have to be very careful. Yeah, easy. I mean, he's talked in our private group about what he's doing. I mean, I'm not going to disclose anything. All I'm going to say is he knows exactly what he's doing. He's probably going to let a lot of people chop themselves up, do a lot of damage to themselves. Again, he's very, if you haven't noticed, he's very conspiracy tinfoil. So, I mean, and it's not even, logically, I would look at it as a broker or anybody else. Somebody's talking like that, and I've seen what he can do, I would probably be looking to trade copy him. So, I mean, he's very weary of that. He has protocols in place to probably stop that and keep people off his tail, per se. Like, going up in profit, then throwing it into drawdown, and then bringing it back. I mean, somebody who's trying to trade copy, that's nearly impossible. We dug up into the inversion there. If there's something in the lower quadrants here that I could scalp, possibly, I would look at it. If you look at a 1 minute accidental, sometimes it's too far back in data. Like, you see how this old new week opening gaps there? If I go down to a 1 minute, it's too far back in data. It won't show up on a 1 minute. It'll show up on like a 5 minute or something. Depends where the how far back the new week opening gap is. I mean, technically, I've called this pretty beautifully, if I say so myself. So I see a fair value gap forming in here. I've been stabbed up into it. I could go short. The only issue is the only draw on liquidity I see is at this low in here. So there's just not a lot of meat on the bone. You could say that from there is about 20 handles. I mean, I could extend it out, right? And I could use standard deviations to get projections to see how far price would want to move. I should put 2 contracts on. Stop loss is going to go above, right underneath that discount low of that. I might get stopped out. That's probably a great example of trading in a seek and destroy profile. But our stops are there. We pay our stops to do his job, right? That's all you could ask for. I'm trading micro NQ this time, not NQ actually. I had to double check myself, make sure I wasn't doing something stupid. What is IFEG? That's inversion fair value gap. It's the abbreviation for it. Again, what is this? About 15, 16 handles. Now I'm looking at it. I mean, I could adjust my stop loss a little bit higher because this is a bearish order block here. I might move it a little bit higher, but let me see. To me, this is a really good example of, I mean, seek and destroy conditions. Which IFEG is a valid one? I mean, they're all valid. It just depends on the narrative. So my stop loss is going above the order block here, basically the mean threshold in that inversion. That's the reason why I was placing it there. Let me do this for a second. So let's say this thing ends up actually working, right? I mean, I personally don't care. But if I had to get like standard deviations and where price could potentially move, I could use this inverse swing here. So, I mean, that's a little hefty, but we'll just see. So stop loss placement is very crucial. It's very key because if I just choked it really short, probably would have been stopped out there. So ideally you want it above at least 2 PD rays. If you can do that, if you can protect yourself. I'm looking at the 5-minute. Here I want to see this stay open. I would prefer this stay open. Trades back to it, I probably would can the idea. The reason for that is if this is left open, it means that price is really bearish. It wants to climb lower. But if it shoots up into that, I don't see a reason to do so. I forgot about this. So that's a reclaimed Cibi in my opinion. It's not an inversion. So I'm just scanning through the time frames, like just looking at price. I'm looking at the closures. I'm looking at higher time frame. Probably that's pretty overzealous on the take profit, to be honest. Where's my stop loss? It's taken out of my live account, so it's fine. I again, what I annotated earlier, I wouldn't prefer this to be to move into that. I can, but I would have preferred that to stay open. It's very choppy, lethargic price action. It's not something I'd want to be part of. I haven't even watched the chat. I don't know what's going on in here. I don't know when to anticipate a breakout gap. I mean, there's never like a clear definition for it, to be honest with you. It's more or less experience, and if price is moving quickly, fast towards a draw, like a liquidity, you would prefer to see certain areas to stay open, right? Yeah, that was a very tick away from getting stopped, right? But it's right above the inversion, so I'm just letting my stop loss do its job. Apparently I didn't adjust it on live account. It's whatever. Yeah, it's like a 20-point loss. It's not a huge deal to me. Yesterday, I mean, made way more than I should have, so. Yeah, Mike, I have a different platform where I take it on my live account, and then this is paper trading just to showcase what I do anyways. Thank you, Nico. Yeah, if somebody asks a question, you've been in here for a while, and it's a pretty like easy question, feel free to answer. I know there's a lot of new viewers. 9:30, that's a new, we just broke, what, 3 records in one day? Appreciate everybody in here. Is Tanya live streaming? If she's not, that makes sense why there's a lot of viewers in here. So this would be a good example of, like, let's say you've been in a position for a certain amount of time. It's not moving towards your drawn liquidity. It's chopping around, being uncertain. What ICT says is you can take a position off, right? Just to minimize a loss, minimize damage, whatever you want to call it. Because something like this, you don't want to be just meandering around in price. It's probably not likely going to move towards the take profit. If I had to put money on it, I'd probably get stopped out, which I don't particularly care. But the point is, if you're in a position like this, it's never to double down into the position. It's always to take off risk. So that's an option you could do. I've done that plenty of times. If I'm uncertain, you know, but I still, like right now, there's still some decent ballot ideas that could move lower, but look at the time, how long I've been in this position. From here, 10:32 to 10:41, that's a lot of time, especially on 1 minute. It's about 10 minutes or so. It's a lot of time just sitting in the same area, not displacing towards the draw on liquidity. Yeah, I saw she made 15,000. I mean, congrats on her, man. I mean, I'm not gonna hate on it. That's such a wild comment. Holy shit. I don't even know. I've never heard somebody even say that. You. Yeah, Nico, your comments are appreciative. You're funny, man. You and Accidental. I think we got to have a contest who is the funniest. Ray, I'm sorry. I keep seeing your question. I know. What FOMCs do you not trade? This is FOMC meeting minutes, so it typically is not as high it's not as a high impact as FOMC, the actual meeting. So I kind of just disregard it. So from here, we've already stabbed up into it twice. I mean, from here, it's gotta drop. Otherwise, the trade idea is canned. It's trashed. I mean, you're still in here in the position. I mean, congrats. You see, I'm not like freaking out. It's either A, taking a loss is normal in general. I know that may be a reality for check for some of you, but taking a loss is completely normal. And B, sitting in drawdown, it's not the most fun thing in the world, but if you put a position on, you have to understand that sometimes you got to sit through drawdown. You have to sit through uncertainty and uncomfortability. Yesterday, the trade that we took, I mean, that was you couldn't have asked for a better trade. I mean, that thing immediately snapped, moved to low resistance. That's a trade you want to be a part of. This, to me, is high resistance liquidity run, where it's very lethargic. It's moving back and forth, taking a long time to move into your take profits. If you see these conditions, it means either A, you're going to have to sit through a lot of time. As long as the PD arrays are still intact, they're still holding on the side that you're looking at, like the inversion's still holding, the order block is still holding, this fair value gap's still holding, nothing's breaking. It just keeps retrading to it. So nothing was invalid to it, right? But you have to understand, if you're in these conditions, it's going to take a minute to get into your drawn liquidity, wherever you're looking at. Abraham, have a good day. I'm sorry if I don't get to a lot of messages in here. There's so many people, man. I do appreciate it. I'm very grateful. But there's only so much I can look at. Yeah, if you guys can like the video, I would love to crack 1,000. That'd be like three records today. Share the video, whatever you can. I would appreciate it a lot. Where the hell is ICT? There's no way he's not on YouTube seeing this. Where is my guy? Hopefully you all are still there. I think my internet just lagged for a second. Are you guys still there? Let me know in the chat, please, because we're about to break a record here. I don't know what the hell just happened. I think my internet's breaking. Still here? All right, cool. I think I saw about to hit 1,000. I was like, no, you can't do that today. I gotta keep a watch on the health of the stream here. Make sure nothing crashes. Come on, 30 more. Let's crack 1,000, boys and girls. Excuse me. That's a loss. Yeah, no, I saw my position disappear. I'm like, what? I know I didn't get stopped. Yeah, I know you're here. I know you're sitting in silence. We dropped from 970 to 935. I think people are doing it on purpose. Yeah, excuse me. I'm eating a banana. I know it sounds probably... I try my best not to eat. Nico, did you know there's a banana? You knew it before I even said it. Like I said, in here, it's got to displace. I mean, I don't want to see it move back above. I've been in here for a minute. He's hacking in. Hope you guys have been enjoying. If you're new here, hopefully it's a good learning experience for y'all. Why don't I take trades on the 5 minute? I mean, there's times where I do, there's times where I don't. It's just an example of when I don't. So here's an example of what I'm going to do, just so y'all can see this. This is me. We've been in the position for too long, so I'm taking off at least half of it. We've been in the position way too long. I'm reducing my risk. That way, I'm not taking as much as a loss in here. It's a hard thing to do. Don't get me wrong, because you don't want to lose, right? But at least I'm not. If it does fully stop me, at least I'm not losing the full position. It's been in here for too long. We've chopped around for way too long. So time is a huge factor. If you're going into your journal, go into your journal and journal your trades and journal the time. Write down all the time and how long between. Figure out the differences between the losers and the winners and how long each of those took. Typically, your winners are a lot shorter in time. Typically, they're probably, if you're trading like a 1 minute time frame, you're probably getting your entry or your take profit met within 5 to 10, 15 minutes. On losers, you're probably sitting through a lot more time. Sometimes maybe not. I mean, this is an example of high resistance liquidity run. So I want to leave the position on to showcase, like, this is exactly what high resistance looks like. It's very lethargic, chopping, doing nothing, moving back to entry points, PD arrays. So hopefully you're able to see, I guess, the showcase of that. Damn, we dropped like 150 views. Whatever. I personally don't care. I just want to crack 1,000. It's crazy what last couple weeks we've had an immense amount of growth. Can you explain why the 5 minute fair value gap is still bad? Because, I mean, we haven't closed above it. We haven't moved past it. We're still just wicking into it. This one, it's an inefficiency, so I'm extending it out in time. It's basically in confluence with it. I'd say this one is the parent to that one. That's what you're referring to. Can you fix your mic soon? Sure. I apologize if it's bad. Dog, I think there's, yeah, I mean, it's really only me and Tanya right now. I don't know anybody else. It sucks because this, I mean, I'm grateful for it, but the community is so oversaturated with content and with people. It's hard to gain traction in this community because it's so oversaturated. Even if you're super unique and you're actually good, it's still extremely difficult to stand out. Okay, I appreciate it. I mean, it's funny to see people's opinions. Mike's okay, Mike's not okay. Mike's confused. It's like, it's all personal. It's like the same as the market. It's such a direct reflection. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. I mean, I do want to invest into like an actual studio mic. I didn't plan on being a very as popular streamer as I see now. So I mean, a lick, yeah. Pause on that one, bro. Hey yo. May you please explain how to calculate risk per contract? I do have I just put out a beginner's course. I'm trying to think of it's either going to be in the first video or the second one where I calculate the risk. Y'all saw that, right? Why did I just cancel that? Honestly, I'm going to leave a take profit up. I just want to see if this thing ends up even moving. Yeah, this is a lot of, and this is a lot of mental capital being spent in this trade. That's the reason why I took a position off. It's not that much of a headache to me anymore. If I lose, would be only half of the position that I lost. So again, I'm also, the risk isn't that much. Like, I'm risking 20-ish handles. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But the reason I'm staying in it is because obviously these areas of inefficiencies are still somewhat valid. It's still respecting it, but it's the reason why I took a position off, just to showcase, like, if you're in a position like this, either collapse the whole thing, just be done with it, or B, take 50% of your position off. So I had 2 contracts, I took half of it off. So whatever your position, whether it's multiple contracts, take 50% of the position off. And if it ends up being right, ends up moving in your favor, well then at least you made back that loss and some. Or B, you took half of the loss you should have took, right? So I'm not saying this is a good position or something you should be ideally looking for. This is terrible. But there are some really good lessons in here that I want to showcase. Because you're not going to always get low resistance liquidity run signatures. You're not always going to get that. It's something you should always look for. But if I can showcase something like this where it's just meandering around, not doing much, it's a good learning lesson. It'll imprint it into your mind. Francis, have a good day, brother. I appreciate you. Price is so annoying. I mean, again, it's funny because that's your perception of it, right? Somebody could think this is amazing. So the market doesn't have a personality. Like, it's not. Yes, it's not ideal conditions. How should I word this? It's your own perception putting that on. You're annoyed by price. I'm not saying again that I enjoy this, but in terms of psychology and when you're viewing price and talking about it, it's always your own perception. All right, Mike, have a good rest of your day. There's a lot of mics in here. Nico, I don't even know what that means. Pogging. CJ, I need you to tell me you're proud of me. I'm number 4 on MFF. Awesome, man. Am I gonna tell you I'm proud of you? I don't personally know you. I mean, that's awesome. And again, this also has to go with social media. It's a good little lesson here. If you need outside validation, if you need that validation from others, that means that you're probably not content with your own progress and your own self. Like, you'll reach a point where you no longer feel the need when you have a winning trade to go on social media and post that, because you don't care. You don't care about outside opinions. You don't care about telling people. It's just business. It's just fine. Like, hopefully it makes sense. Seeking outside validation is never good because you'll never get enough of it. You'll constantly be looking for that. Wayne, awesome. I love to hear that. It's what I love to hear people learn from me is patience, discipline, psychology, those type of things over really technicals. After the 2022 playlist, there's a few other playlists. I would recommend ICT has a video how to join ICT's mentorship for free, and he tells you the videos that you should probably be watching. Watch anime? No. A7, alright brother. Have a good rest of your day. Wolf, awesome. I love to hear that. How can I make two charts? You either, I think you have to have TradingView Pro, but you go to the template here and you split it in half, or you go to this bottom bar, like this window here, open it up. Again, if I was not really trying to showcase this, I would have collapsed the whole position already. But I just want to showcase to all of you, like, this is terrible. This is not something you should be a part of. And you can see we're engineering buy side in here, so that's not good at all either, right? It's not something you would prefer. Like, again, this is hilarious to see. Like, Domingo, you're losing money. How would you recommend Ict-Concepts? The dude doesn't trade live too. You can't come into one session and judge one trade. I mean, if you came to the last 2 weeks, even yesterday, I mean, we had a 50 handle run. Last week I had 1 loss and like 4 wins. So again, it's, you know what, I'm not gonna feed into it. It's exactly what these people want. Yeah, again, I mean, I understand people with a large viewership. There's going to be more people that are, again, just trolls. I personally don't care, man. I just don't. The only reason I like to defend it is because I know there's plenty of people out there that they're still on the fence about stuff, and they see people like that, and they buy into it. So it's whatever. Um, yeah, no, I'm reading the chat. I love the chat. I love all you guys in here that are actually cool. I mean, there's pros and cons with it. As I've gotten better with live streaming, like I've become more accustomed to it. I'm really never affected by it, to be honest with you. Like, I think like 2 weeks ago, I was a little irritated. But that is an amazing analogy, Chriso. Redeem and restored, awesome, man. Or girl, I'm sorry. I say man a lot. But that's awesome. Yeah, charter members are great. Yeah, we're inside of the last. We ended the silver bullet. We have about 10 minutes left. So if we're not reached into the lower quadrants, like the south side here, by the end of the silver bullet macro, is what I meant to say, then I'd be done with the position. Again, taking a loss like this means nothing to me. I've showcased this last week too. Like, I took a loss and everybody was in the chat saying a bunch of things. And then 10 minutes later, I took a trade, doubled what we lost, and then the whole chat sentiment changed. It's funny to see human emotions and psychology when it comes to trading. Like, if you have a good system plan in place, taking a loss is really nothing. It's not a big deal. It's normal. I'd honestly just please stop me out. Like I'm asking for it too. Wazy, what's up, brother? I'm doing great today. Yeah, today was a great day. But aside the fact, if you go into your journal today, even like myself, it's like able to call both positions. I knew well knowingly going into this position it was probably going to be chop. Why? Because we've taken out both sides of the board. That's a typical profile for this to be seek and destroy. Robbie, yeah, I mean, people have their opinions about pay discords and private communities and stuff like that, which I do as well. But for me, it's like the only reason I'm going to do it is because I was able to sit here, and I'm probably going to do another month of this. Somebody that can sit live for 3 months in front of a live audience and take trades and show that they're profitable, to me, that to me makes you eligible to actually run a paid Discord. Most people, they just do, hindsight trades, and they don't ever show you live trading, which again, that's my issue with paid groups is there's a lot of gurus and fugazi out there that they don't really showcase what they know. It's very easy to be tricked when you're a newer trader. And I do have an issue with, paid mentorships and private groups, but for me, I want to be as authentic and transparent. If I'm able to do this for, let's say, 3 months, I mean, with a verified track record that I've showcased all of you, then I don't see an issue with it. I mean, for me, at that point, I've given enough value. I've showcased what I can do. And if you don't want to pay for it, I mean, that's fine. There's no hard feelings against it. To me, I'm not even looking at it as if I'm really in this trade, to be honest with you. Like, it means nothing to me. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I mean, again, I love teaching. It's so much fun, man. I love helping others. It truly is. Like, I mean, the reason I do this for free and I don't charge right away because I think it's cool to help people for free. They don't have to pay for anything. Yeah, Rista. Yeah, I mean, I've been through so many years of trades that one trade means nothing to me. How much will you be charging? That's a good question. I mean, I'm not going to charge an arm and a leg for it. I understand people have bills to pay. They have things. I would probably do something where, like, tell me if you guys would understand this. I mean, I would probably do a first monthly fee of upwards probably to $100 because I mean my time's worth that. I put a lot of effort into this. It's a lot of work. Then I'd probably have a second and a third month, so it drop. So like it would drop in half. So like the second month would be 50, then third month would be probably like $25 a month. That way I understand people have bills, they have things to pay for. I mean charging $100 a month, people don't have money to pay for that. That's a ridiculous amount. But upfront costs, I mean I see the pro in that. Like if you stay for 3 months, you get rewarded for staying and being loyal. I mean, $25 a month, that's nothing. It's like a tank of gas to be able to sit live with somebody with more experience in trade and take trade ideas. That's reasonable. Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, again, I put myself in the shoes of when I used to pay for other people's discords and stuff like that. I've done it. It's like, dude, I don't have enough money to pay $50 a month or $100 a month. I mean, I only have so much leftover money from working a job or whatever it is to pay for it. So yeah, it would stay at 25. Like after you're there for 3 months, I mean, it would stay at 25. You get rewarded for being there and being loyal. So I think that's reasonable. Would you consider a lifetime option? I mean, yeah, I don't know how long I would run it for, to be honest with you. I have no idea. I would have to see the amount of people that come into it. Because I mean, if it's not really enough in terms of money and time, like it just wouldn't be worth my time to do it. I'd rather, like, let's say I only made like let's say $1,000, then I probably wouldn't do it. It's not really worth my time. Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm probably gonna do this free live stream for another, I don't know, couple weeks or so. and then it's off. And that way I don't have to deal with people that are trolls and people that are not really here to learn. Like that's another main reason I do it, is because I don't want to deal with people like you saw in the chat earlier. So please stop me out. Thank you. That should be stopped out. So I'm sure many of you are already out of that position. Again, that was in whole. I took out half the position, and in here is about 20 handles. If you're freaking out about 20 handles, I mean, again, it's really not that big of a deal. So you saw in here how I was able to take off half of the position. I took out half of the loss before we even able to get stopped out. In a live environment, if I was sitting by myself, I would have took out this position a long time ago. But I wanted to showcase all of you how these conditions are not favorable. It's not something you want to be a part of, and I'm imprinting it into your mind. This is a very memorable experience. At least if I was sitting here watching this as a student, this would be ingrained into my head. It's a reason why I did it. It's the reason why I stayed in the position, is because I want to ingrain it into all of your heads that if you see a position like this where it's meandering around, it's not moving away from your entry point, it's sitting still, not moving clearly, that's a bad sign. That's not good. You have to have enough discipline to be like, all right, I'm collapsing the position and I'm okay with a small loss. So that's really what I wanted to showcase. So hopefully that made sense to all of you. And why did we expect this? We are in a seek and destroy profile. We've taken out buy stops, we've taken out sell stops. Another reason to all this, I mean, look at the higher time frame. Nothing is extremely clear as to where we're going, right? If you look at the 4 hour, the 1 hour. So hopefully that was a good learning experience. Like ICT has done that for me. He did that through Twitter last year, and it ingrained it into my head. Tal, I don't. I see the comment you deleted. Yeah, again, man, I don't. I mean, one person out of 700 people, I personally don't care. Do I recommend prop money or not? Yeah, I recommend it. Yeah, I mean that's gonna be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it was good. I mean, for the haters, stay tuned, man. It'll be fun. I'm in it for the long-term game. You're in it for day-to-day. So, yeah, that's gonna be it. I'll upload a daily log tonight. I'll see what happens at PM. I mean, if I was gonna trade the rest of the day, let's say, if I do, it would be in PM session. If AM, what's the protocol? If AM session is chopped, done nothing, typically you can expect PM session to do something, right? So, that's how you predict PM session. If AM session's been doing nothing. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same thing. Appreciate all you guys. Appreciate all the new support. Appreciate all the new viewership. I really do appreciate it. Till tomorrow. Peace.